So with that, we're going to jump to Pete, who's going to give us his review of Five Nights in Freddy's.
Five Nights at Freddy's is a movie that came out in theaters as well as on Peacock. You can catch that streaming now. This is directed by Emma Tammy and starring Josh Hutcherson from Hunger Games fame, who played PETA, who's very good in that. So the premise of Friday Night at Freddy's, and apparently it was a video game, which I'm not a gamer, so I had no idea that this was an existing IP. I thought that this was just a normal movie that somebody made up on their own. This is about Hutcherson, who is a security guard. He's down on his luck. He just can't catch a break. He's in debt. He's going to lose his sister. So he takes this job at almost like a Chuck E. Cheese type establishment. And, his job is fairly simple. Just make sure people don't get in. But as things start to progress, we start to realize that the animatronic robots are actually alive. And then it continues on. Now, this movie got a 5.6 on IMDb, and that's fair because it's just not, no offense, it's just not a great movie, even a little bit. I would watch this on streaming. I wouldn't waste the time, unless, of course, you have the AMC pass where you can see up to 3 films a week. This is a tough watch in a way because it's just so silly. And usually with these kinds of movies, when, you don't really have a lot of expectations, you go into them thinking, okay, this is fine. It's just going to be a good time. I just didn't find myself entertained at all throughout the whole thing. And I thought that the direction it went in the storytelling was really lazy and, just wasn't a great experience for me. It's what my gut said when I was going to see this movie, when I first saw the previews. Like, I remember the previews came on and just thinking to myself, what did I just watch? Like, that's getting funding, which is insane. So yeah, there you go. Friday Night at Freddy's. Check it out on Peacock. You should probably see it once, but that's about it.
So I had a very similar take to Pete. I think the most important thing about this film to understand is the demographics of this film. So like Pete mentioned, this is an IP property that is based off of a mobile video game that was super popular in like 2014, I believe. And so it's already got kind of a huge kind of audience and a lot of people that want to see this. This is like a teenager movie, essentially. This is adults, I think, are going to kind of struggle a little bit with it. And this is a good kind of like, this is kind of like Gremlins, just not as good, if that makes sense. How Gremlins is like, it's not really scary, but it's a little kind of terrifying, especially when you're younger. This is kind of like a new age Gremlins based off that IP. And again, the most impressive thing about this film is really how successful it has been. So this has made $92 million domestically and has made $152 million worldwide. And this is a budget of roughly $20 million. So this is a huge hit. And like I said, I think this is mainly more popular with teenagers versus adults. Now, as a movie, I think there's some things that are interesting in this film. I didn't know going into it was an IP property, but it is interesting. I wish I would have done a little more research before I went in. But without even throwing that aside, this film has some elements that make it very interesting, but also I think there's just some elements that make it come up short. And I think that's where ultimately I think this movie lacks. The story at the end of the day is just a little lacking. There's too many like, wait, what? Like things just don't connect very well. And I think the premise is pretty interesting. And I think, this kid dealing with, other missing kids and stuff like that. I like the setup of that, but I just don't think it was 100% executed. I don't think the script was 100% ready when they decided to shoot. And that's just my honest opinion. I still thought it was entertaining, but it's one of those entertaining, but also kind of lackluster. And so definitely if you have kids, I would say teenagers more specifically, I think I would recommend it. Every teenager I know has really liked it. So it's really just as an adult, can you stomach it? And again, I think it was entertaining. I wasn't mad I watched it, but at the same time, it was like, yeah, that didn't make any sense. So take that as you will.